Namaste everyone, Charlie here from Indiv Yoga, and today we're going to go through the 5 yoga poses that you should do every day, especially if you're short on time, because they're going to give you a good general stretch of the body and strengthen the most important muscles, which are the core muscles, which support the spinal column, and the muscles around your hips, which are your biggest joint in the body. So you want to do these 5 poses in this order for safety. And ideally you'd be doing a fuller, longer yoga practice, but these are my essential 5. So you want to make sure that you're doing this later on in the day when the body's more warmed up, or if first thing in the morning, make sure that you've checked in with the body and you've stretched out any parts that are feeling a bit more stiff. And you want to always do a minimum of 5 long deep breaths in any yoga pose, or ideally more. So listen to your body and take the poses gently before you start pushing that little bit further into them and breathing into your poses. Remember that either side of the body might be different as well, and that your body might not necessarily be the same as it was yesterday. So just listen and work within your capacity. So our first yoga pose is downward dog. So we want to bring our hands to the front of the mat, middle finger in line with the shoulders, and spreading the fingers and rolling those elbows out. So not rolling them inwards, which is going to curl the shoulders. You want to roll the elbows outwards, so the pits of the elbows are facing forwards, and you're getting a good stretch across the shoulders. From there, toes on the mat, and we're going to lift ourselves up with straight arms. You can bend each knee alternatively, if you like here, especially if it's first thing in the morning, you want to warm up backs of the legs. Make sure that the arms are straight, that you're pressing into the mat, rooting the hands down and pushing away, lifting that tailbone, and just giving the head a little bit of a shake from side to side, just to make sure there's no tension there. It's completely relaxed, breathing deeply. This is going to give us a really good stretch all the way across the back of the body. From the hands, the arms, lovely stretch across the shoulders and either side of the spine, and all the way down the back of the hamstrings. Breathing deeply. If you need to release the tension a bit, you can bend the knees, push into those hands and get a bit more length through the upper body before working those heels down towards the mat. And then from there, our next pose is our plank pose. So we're just going to bring the shoulders forwards over the wrists. Keep the hips nice and high, engaging the buttocks. Again, making sure the neck is completely relaxed. And breathing deeply. We've just been strengthening the shoulders a bit already in our downward dog. This is a really good overall strengthener of the glutes and our core muscles. Couple more deep, long breaths. Keep lifting the hips up, make sure they don't slump down. And then we're going to come all the way down onto the mat for our bow pose. So we're going to reach behind us and take hold of our feet. And we're going to engage the buttocks, keep the neck completely relaxed, and slowly begin lifting the thighs and the chest off the mat. Now, if you have the tendency to let the knees fall outwards and not stay in line with the hips, and you can have the hands on the outside of the feet, just making sure that the chest is nice and open, the shoulders are rolling back. Otherwise, you can take the hands to the inside of the feet, which is just going to roll the shoulders further back and open the chest that little bit more, but maintaining the knees in line with the hips. This is a really good back bend because it's bending the upper back as well as the lower back. And then you can begin lifting that little bit further, if you like, And then gently releasing down onto the knees, taking the hands under the shoulders. Inhale as you lift yourself up. And we're just going to take the hips back and just neutralize the spine a bit in a sort of puppy dog or child's pose, before coming up into our next pose, which is our standing forward fold, Uttanasana. So you can do a seated forward fold to counter stretch after the back bend, but a standing forward fold's a bit better because you've got the weight of the upper body and gravity helping you get into that pose a little bit further. So feet are either together or a little bit apart, and what's important here is that you want to keep the back nice and straight, allowing obviously for its natural curves. So if you can, 10 fingers, 10 toes in line with one another, and keeping the hips over the ankles and the legs nice and straight. Breathe into the pose. We're not trying to get the nose to the legs, we're trying to lengthen the crown of the head down towards the floor. Now if you can't come up down that far, then you're better off having the hands on your thighs and lengthening the nice straight back, pulling that tailbone back and the crown of the head forwards and getting length through the spine, as well as a good stretch through the back of the legs. You're better off being here than curling the spine, trying to get the nose towards the knees. Perhaps you're a little bit further down. You want to be feeling a lovely stretch from the heels all the way up into the glutes and feeling it in the lower back as well. Keep breathing. If you need to release a bit, you can bend the knees. Give yourself a couple of breaths and then come back into your pose. And we're aiming for belly to thigh, chest to knees, and then nose or forehead to the shins. And then gently release. And our last pose is a twist. So we're going to come down onto the mat. Legs out in front of us. Twists are really good neutralizers for the spine, and very often we just need to click out a little kink or a vertebrae that's very slightly out of place. So there's 3 stages to this pose. Always starting with twisting to the right first. We're going to draw the right heel in towards the body, and you can twist from here, just making sure there's just a hand's worth of space between the left inner thigh and the foot. But if you're up for going a little bit further, you can cross that right foot to the outside of the left thigh. Here you want to make sure that the foot is grounding down into the mat and that both sitting bones have remained equally on the floor. And perhaps you're here today and you can twist from there. Otherwise, the last stage is bending the left leg and drawing the heel in towards the right buttock. So wherever you're comfortable today, don't push yourself. Perhaps you'll be different on one side than the other. Let's inhale and raise the arms up. And exhale, begin twisting round to the right. Right hand's going to ground as close into the spine as it can to help give you length. And the left arm is going to hug the right leg, or you can take it to the outside to give yourself a bit more of a twist. What's more important here is that you focus on lengthening, rooting the tailbone down into the mat and growing as tall as you can through the crown of the head. Breathe in to grow that a little bit taller, and use your exhale to twist just a millimetre further if you can. And breathe into your pose. Release any tension from the lower body. Make sure that you're not tightening muscles. Each inhale, feeling yourself grow a little taller, and with each exhale, that millimetre further. If the neck is uncomfortable here, then you can have it facing more to the left. That's better. Otherwise, we're taking the twist all the way into the cervical spine and looking behind that right shoulder, or closing the eyes if you want to just really internalize your practice. Nice big inhale, and then using the exhale to gently release. and giving them a little shake. On the other side, remember you might be feeling different, so let's go through the stages. Either twisting from here, taking the foot over, twisting from there, or if you're up for it, bending the right knee and taking the heel to the outside of the left buttock. Inhale, raise the arms up, grow nice and tall, and carry that height over to the left, grounding that left hand as close into the spine as you can, and hugging the left knee with the right arm, or taking the arm to the outside of the thigh. Find a place that's comfortable for your neck, where you can find a focal point for the eyes. Keep focused on as you breathe deeply in your pose, or feel free to just close the eyes, feeling yourself grow even taller as you breathe in, and exhaling just a millimeter further out. One last inhale, and then exhaling, gently release and release the legs. So those are the 5 poses. Downward dog, plank, bow pose, our back bend, standing forward fold, and a twist. So obviously it's better to do a whole bunch more poses and a longer practice, but if you can only do 5, then make sure it's those 5 and in that order. Enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Namaste.